In a move that quietly stirred the political pot, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney took a subtle yet pointed aim at President Donald Trump during his speech at the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF. This moment, packed with careful wording and cultural references, made those watching take notice. But here's where it gets particularly interesting. Carney's remarks weren't just about celebrating Canadian comedy. They also served as a caution against pushing Canada's limits in the face of political tension. Carney spoke just before the world premiere of John Candy, I Like Me, a heartfelt documentary celebrating the beloved Canadian actor and comedian John Candy. While lauding Candy's career, Carney cleverly drew parallels between the film star's often jovial roles and the current political climate, making an understated jab at the US president. He said, "We live in a world that feels more dangerous, divided, and less tolerant. Here in Canada, our sovereignty and unique identity have faced threats. When Canadians heard these challenges, they responded with a spirit reminiscent of John Candy himself, standing firm, elbows raised, and writing their own story." This line felt like more than just praise for Candy. It echoed concerns about international pressures that Canada has experienced recently, particularly from its southern neighbour, Carney, who stepped into the Prime Minister's office earlier this year after Justin Trudeau, reminded the audience that John Candy's characters often had a breaking point. One of the signature moments in many of Candy's films, like Planes, Trains, Automobiles, is when his typically cheerful persona shifts dramatically after being pushed too far. And there was always that scene, always, where John's character hit his limit after being pushed too hard. So let me say, don't underestimate Canadians by pushing them too far, Carney shared with a wry smile. The crowd responded with laughter and applause, sensing the layered meaning behind the statement. He continued with a playful nudge. Especially if you're someone who's wealthier, more powerful, or maybe just a bit arrogant. I'm sure the analogy isn't lost on you. It was a pointed moment, with the Prime Minister clearly alluding to Trump's approach on the world stage, without naming him outright. Carney didn't stop there. John Candy always stood up for what was right, he said, linking the comedian's courage to the resilience required in today's world. He emphasized that the films shown at TIFF have gained even greater significance against the backdrop of current political challenges. You could feel that deeper message about strength, identity, and solidarity resonating through the festival hall. This speech came amid heightened tensions between Canada and the United States, which have surfaced since Trump's second presidential term began. Among the most contentious moves were Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs, announced in April, introducing a steep 25% tariff on Canadian goods, a move that rattled Canadian businesses and consumers alike. Further stirring the pot, Trump's provocative suggestion that Canada might become the 51st state sparked widespread irritation north of the border. During a May meeting in the Oval Office, Carney addressed this head-on. "Canada isn't something that's up for sale," he declared firmly. "We've met with stakeholders across the country, and let me be clear, Canada will never be for sale. But the strength lies in partnership and what we can build together." Trump's response? "Never say never," he said with his trademark bravado. "There have been many things considered impossible that eventually became possible." This exchange highlighted the underlying friction in US-Canada relations, and Carney's TIFF speech seems to be another subtle reminder that Canada values its sovereignty and identity deeply. The Prime Minister's allusion to Candy's career and his message about being pushed too far invite us all to reflect. At what point does political pressure threaten the fabric of a nation? And how far is too far? What do you think? Did Carney's clever speech strike the right balance between diplomacy and defiance? Or does it risk escalating tensions unnecessarily? Share your thoughts below. This conversation is far from over.